Check 1, 2.
Livermore Live Music presents Spotlight, shining a light on Livermore's incredible music scene. Here are your hosts, Rob Allen and Kevin Snyder.
Welcome, everybody. This is Spotlight by Livermore Live Music. We're here at Advanced Creative in Livermore, California, and today the spotlight is on Blacksmith Square and our special guest, Stephanie Fish from Swirl on the Square.
Great. Good morning.
Stephanie, welcome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks.
Before we start, we always have a couple of things we like to get off the table. So first of all, a little refreshment for you. I know you and Rocco, the owner of, that's right, the owner at Swirl, you do a weekly Wine of the Week segment.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Very rough.
Yeah. I don't know whether you've had this particular wine on before, but this is a Mitchell Katz Cabernet.
Great.
And we picked it out, so I hope you enjoy that.
Cheers.
Cheers. The other important thing is to talk a little bit about flat Earth. There seems to be a lot of talk these days and a resurgence in the flat Earth movement.
I'm a flat earther.
Are you?
Really
Yeah.
a flat earth?
Okay. But I'm here to tell you that I am certain that there is no flat Earth, because if there was, by now, cats would have pushed everything off the edge.
Everything, right?
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Doesn't it?
Yes.
I'm going back to the globe theory.
All right. Thank you, Nicholas Copernicus. So today we're going to talk about a bunch of things. Stephanie, we want to, of course, talk to you a little bit about your background, where you came from and how you got to Swirl and how that meshes with Blacksmith Square. We are going to talk a little bit about Blacksmith Square itself and a little bit of its history. But we want to fairly quickly get to live music at Blacksmith and also at Swirl and at Tap 25, which is another music venue there at Blacksmith Square. And then talk a little bit to you about plans for the future. I know big things are happening downtown. And,
Indeed.
Yeah, big things are happening for you.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So we're going to talk to you about all those things. But let's go ahead and get started with you. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you came from, and eventually meander to how you got to Swirl on the Square.
Yes, meandered is a really great way to put it.
Awesome.
So my professional life, I am a librarian, actually. I'm a librarian currently at Los Positos College. That's a part-time gig. I work as an adjunct faculty member there. Round about the time when I was ready to think, I'm going to go full-time and all that good stuff, the recession arrived and there were about, 200 or so applicants for every full-time library position. Yeah. And I knew Rocco, and Rocco had been bugging me about wanting me to come
This
work.
is a Rocco Maitino.
Yes, Rocco Maitino, who
right.
owns Swirl on the Square. We'd been there, many times as guests, and he was always bugging me about, you should come and work for me. And so I called him up and said, hey, I'm looking for a few more hours. I want to do something. And I think just the week prior, his manager had quit. And so it was kind of this perfect
storm.
Little perfect storm of, synchronicity. And
this is around 2010 or so?
This was 2011.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've been the manager there since April 2011.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And that's how I wound up. Your part-time gig becomes your full-time gig, and your full-time gig is which is very familiar to the musicians of the world, I'm sure.
Amen. Yeah. But also, it's familiar to both of us in our own lives. We're not going to go into it, but there's these huge coincidences of how we ended up here that was not part of the plan when I was in high school. Anyway.
Yep.
Hey, I want to just recount a little bit, and please jump in because you probably know more about this than I do. But for the people who are out there who don't know, they know Blacksmith Square. You go to it, you listen to music. But recount a little bit of the history. Remember that back in the 1990s and before, there was that brick building on Railroad Avenue in North L that was a garage. It was like a muffler shop or something like that.
V&G muffler, I know, because they put a new header on my 1969 Ford pickup.
There you go. Yeah. And then in the midst of the renovation downtown that was happening in the early 2000s, I think the decision was made and everybody agreed they were going to turn that into, they were looking for venues for wine tasting.
Right. The whole idea, the concept initially behind the rebirth of Blacksmith Square was to have satellite tasting rooms, like a downtown, which is, you see in Lodi has a very active downtown
Paso
wine
Robles,
tasting. Paso has, not as much downtown, like Carmel has a strip of wine tasting in the town that supports the wineries that are, out in the Central Valley or Central Coast. But what happened was they came in. There were a number of them that tried, and that realization that, oh, you have to staff this. Oh, you have to be open these hours. Oh, you're paying rent on these buildings.
Yeah, it's a business. Yeah.
It's a business. And, it did kind of coincide a little bit with that recession. And so I think it was a tough time to try to do something like that. And eventually, they just kind of made their way. I think the last one was John Christopher Sellers and that's because he didn't have an estate to support, his wine kind of thing. I think it was, let's see. So Rocco opened in July 2009 because we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. And it was about probably 2007, 2008 that Tom Dozy, who owned John Christopher Sellers, was talking to Rocco about, hey, we really need some food down here, and knew Rocco from Trio out at Stony Ridge.
Right.
And so that's kind of how Swirl got birthed, was, this need to provide some food while people are out there. There's this beautiful patio.
Right.
And then, and we've had our little rotating world. I think we're finally kind of settling in, but of course there'll be a lot of new stuff.
Somewhere in there, Tap 25 opened up.
Yes.
They were not part of the original suite of people that were there.
No, Tap 25 opened, I believe it was 2012 or 2013. Yeah, it was right. I mean, it was still early in
but
my
caught
time
on
there.
real quick. I mean, the idea that there should also be a craft beers.
Yeah.
Correct me, because I'm sure I'm wrong, but didn't it start out as a barbecue place? Didn't he start as a...
Yes, Tim and Carrie. Tim owned the little green egg.
I couldn't remember their names.
Right, Tim and Carrie.
Fisher, right?
Brian.
I'm sorry, Brian, absolutely.
Yep.
Yes,
they owned Tap 25, and he had a barbecue shop, exactly.
Right.
So he was a competitive barbecuer. That was something he did on the side for fun. And so he was, sold, especially the green egg. That was like the big product and stuff.
That.
And so that was open for a while, and then... I think, they saw it coming. They saw this big wave of, the craft beer revolution, and, just hit it right at the right time.
They hit it at exactly the right time.
Exactly.
And eventually expanded into what had originally been a wine tasting room.
Right.
And made Tap 25 what it is. By the way, anybody who's out there listening, if you go to the elivermore.com website, they have some great information on the history of Blacksmith Square, some pictures of the renovation, before and after pictures. And interestingly, they have a table that shows who was there at the opening? What were the businesses that were there when Blacksmith first opened? The only one that's still standing is Swirl on the Square. You guys were there at the outset, and you're still here now.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And then somewhere in there, live music started to become a thing. I don't know if that was part of the planning as the city and the businesses were building out.
I don't know. I actually don't know, because it was actually John Christopher Sellers. It was Tom and Craig was his manager, right? And they kind of had this idea like, hey, we've got this beautiful patio. Why don't we get some live music out here?
Right.
And just kind of figured out how to, share the costs and stuff amongst the businesses. And initially it was just this, it was Saturday afternoons, and that was it. It was the beginning, just.
Yeah, and it was, that was sort of coincided with, I think, a general increase in the appetite for live music around Livermore. More people wanted to go to wineries, to the breweries that were starting to open up and see live music. And Blacksmith was right there at the very beginning of it.
Yeah.
And so, of course, today, Blacksmith is the hub, or certainly one of the hubs for live music in
I used to joke, early on when I first started, because I took over the music booking for the Square, and then eventually started sharing it with Tap 25, I think the second year that I was manager at Swirl. And I used to joke, as people would I said, everyone's lifting my musicians. Like, what's going on here? Like, they check them out and make sure they're good, which is great, which is totally appropriate.
Well, was it, back in the earlier days, was it harder to find good bands to come and play? There's so many great bands in Livermore now.
There are so many. There's actually more than we can certainly give spots to, which is something that, I try to explain. And we get, I would say Rocco tells me between him, people just coming in or calling, and him getting emails, we get contacted by 3 to 4 or 5 bands every week. Every week looking to get,
Well, it's a very
spot.
desirable venue.
It is a desirable venue.
Yeah.
And to me, it seems like that would be a good problem to have, right?
Right. So because it's one of those things about booking music is, you've got to work with the musicians that get the environment, that know what we do and how we operate. You want some diversity in music. You don't want the same.
Right.
I don't want this cover band that plays this list of songs to be just like, sure, you play a little bit differently, but you're covering the same songs.
As
you know?
the band we had yesterday.
Exactly.
Right?
So
Yeah.
it's kind of a little bit of a
one of the
shell
things that
game,
one of the
figuring it
things that
out.
I really, really admire about Blacksmith Swirl is the diversity of music that you have down there.
Yeah,
and
it's
that
nice.
you guys have.
It's getting better.
I don't know if you have a philosophy or approach that you want to share with people about how you go about it. But I mean, you have bands not just from Livermore. You've done a great job of offering a venue to Livermore bands, but you have bands from all over Northern California. You've had Sacramento bands, Santa Cruz, Santa Barbara.
I will say that is the influence of Tap 25. So when they said, hey, we want to get involved in booking music now too, because we have a different idea about this. And their thought is that, if we bring in this great band from Sacramento, they're going to bring a following, which may or may not work. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, certainly like Diego's Umbrella comes, and yes, you have 500 people on the patio. Yeah. It's like you get
and they were awesome, by the way.
They are amazing. These cult followings, the Up and Down from Alameda, California, they're fantastic, have a huge cult following. And so those kind of bands, yes. But some, and it's hit and miss a little bit, but I feel like, our position as Swirl, and we totally agree about this between Tap 25 and us, is that we will always focus on local musicians. Like, we really want to stay true to supporting the local music scene.
Well, I love it that there's multiple influences that are affecting who comes to play. To me, there's a little bit of an analog to songwriting within a band. And I think bands that have multiple songwriters write better songs. I think it's just more interesting than it's all one person. I would say the same thing more generally applies to the music.
Right. Yeah. You get all kinds of different stuff down there now, which is really.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I just think the range of music that you can hear down there is fantastic. Yeah. And another thing, we've talked to a couple of other venues about this too, is people don't have to know who's playing there. I wish they would. I wish they would go to livermorelivemusic.com and check and see who's playing.
Go see.
Right. But they don't have to. They can just go down there on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon
and know that they're going to.
There's got to be something.
There's going to be somebody really good performing there.
Right.
And they're going to be entertained and beveraged.
Yeah, right. Yes, there's plenty of
lots of great
lots
food
of
and
beverages.
drinks.
Well, and that's another fantastic thing about the venue, right? Is there's several different things to choose from in terms of beverages, some alcoholic, some not. If you want food, Swirl, I mean, we're not going to get into this too much, but Swirl actually has an excellent menu.
Yes,
We do.
Yeah.
We
and
do.
Sometimes you have somebody out there barbecuing on the side.
We've done that in the past. We haven't done that in a while, quite a while. But especially when, Tim did have the barbecue shop, we would definitely kind of highlight that. And we did it a little bit, but we got away from that.
And it's also a family-friendly and a dog-friendly venue. And I mean, it's just fantastic. It's a real gem of Livermore.
Yeah, we love it.
Fire away.
It's time for
Oh, okay. What is this?
So this is a segment we're going to try out here.
Okay, great.
Where I kind of take a deep dive into more specific questions, and a lot of them we already addressed.
Okay.
So hopefully, if I say it again, it's because my memory is short.
Okay.
Oh
No.
yeah, you're all good. So if you weren't doing this, what would you rather be doing?
Oh my gosh.
Is there something or a different kind of business that you'd like to be involved in, or?
Boy, I'm arriving at the age where it's retirement is on the horizon, and so that is what I would, is kind of where
It's
I'm
a
heading.
beautiful
next.
horizon.
We both highly recommend it, yes.
I know. We're kind of in that like negotiating. When can the husband retire? How long am I going to stay? And Rocco and I have certainly agreed that like we're in this till the bitter end together, whatever that looks like, and who knows? I mean, lots of change going on
There's
downtown.
nothing in sight, I hope.
No. And certainly the business itself will carry on, just under different ownership at some point in time, perhaps. But I mean, if I were to do any kind of business, if I were to and had all the money in the world, I would be opening a vegan restaurant here in Livermore.
Oh.
So that is a missing piece, and I am a vegan, and, definitely we need it. So I'm hoping that with all the excitement coming downtown that will happen.
Yeah.
Someone will do it.
That's going to come back up in Kevin's Corner.
Great.
The other thing, what lessons have you learned over the past 10 years of working there.
With regard to like music especially, or just?
In general, just have you done anything where you go, oh, well, I'll do it different next time? Anything. Music oriented? Or,
right, anything.
And it's okay to answer nothing.
Right.
I did it perfectly the first time.
I know, right? Of course, yes, everything's been, I've never had anything to learn
Flawless,
ever.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is about like managing the turnover in this industry, you know, and learning.
I imagine it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, you know, and we had many years where we had a very stable crew for, you know, a long time, and you know, that was unheard of, you know, in this business. And I knew that. So just learning how to roll with the punches and know that like, okay, this is gonna, you know, just how to attract the right people and keep them, and you know, that's definitely been something that's a learning edge for me for sure.
Okay. Back to music. Can you kind of describe, without naming names, the worst experience you've had with bands there?
Oh, I won't name any names.
No. I'm not asking you to.
Yeah.
Because it's probably us.
No, there's been some bands out on the patio that I think were booked without hearing them for sure, you know, initially, and it's just not the right vibe for down there. Yeah, you know.
I think I was at that gig.
Yeah, there's been a few that are like rough, you know, and there's times when we're like, ooh, and sometimes I'm like, is it just because of the way it sounds coming inside to Swirl, or is it that bad out on the patio? Sometimes it can be
I remember,
a little rough
to interrupt your segment for a second.
No, that's fine.
I remember a segment that I went to, or a gig that I went to one time, and it was screechy, loud, grunge music.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure in the right venue and with the right audience, that was actually quite entertaining. But I remember being jarred by it and thinking that's just not a Blacksmith
No,
thing.
exactly. And that's the thing. And this is something that, you know, we do Tap 25 and we communicate about, you know, like, hey, that was rough. That's not the right scene for down here. And trying to find like, hey, I want to give these guys a shot.
Yeah,
but let's find the right time and the place for it.
That talks to the diversity of music that you're trying to achieve.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think that's awesome. And thank you for giving, you know, everybody a chance.
Yeah.
The corollary to that, what about the best experience, the best band? Can you think of the most
easily? I will say. I mean, there's the big draws and stuff, but I will say, and it's not any particular band, but the experience of Beatles Day at Blacksmith Square is probably one of the most amazing things, like that. And can I give credit where credit is due?
Please.
Okay,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So Brian Cooper, huge shout out, man. That guy, he puts that thing together, and he's done it, you know, we've done 5 years. So this will be Beatles Day 6 coming up in 2020. It's the first Sunday in June. It kicks off the outdoor season.
Right.
And he just kills it, you know, and organizes that whole thing and puts together the set list, and, you know, and people, I mean, that place is packed.
No, it's a fun time.
And it's so wonderful. And you just get this community feeling out there. And again, you know, with the Beatles, like, you're going to draw people from all ages. So, you know, it's just a great event. So.
Very cool. Very cool. Can you tell us a little bit about the expansion that is going to happen with the change in downtown? Can
Absolutely.
you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we're very excited about that. And just to be completely upfront and transparent about this, like as a small business, we are definitely in support of the city approved downtown plan, which will be on the ballot in March. Right. So everybody know that your small business people support the downtown plan. I am also a board member with Livermore Shakespeare Festival, and we support the plan as well. So just want to get that out there. So this idea is to have this, you know, boutique hotel that'll be built right across from Swirl, where the old Speedy Lube was. Right. So that is planned for. They've got, you know, a contract with Presidio, the developer, to do that. And then right now, if you haven't been down there in the last couple of days, they've just kind of blocked off everything. Around Blacksmith Square, because that's where Stockman's Park is going. So that's the park to honor the veterans and Stockman's Rodeo Association, right? And so that park is starting to break ground and have work done on it. Part of that park will be a science and society center, a black box theater, where again, more opportunity, another venue for, especially a black box. Like that's where you really could get some cool experimental stuff, music and whatnot.
And
that's
other arts.
That's the point of doing something like some spoken word, some, really cool things.
Some Shakespeare, right?
Exactly. Of course. Absolutely. And then Blacksmith Square itself is going to expand. That is the plan. And so this year, probably, we think, that will start. The patio is supposed to get redone completely. We've put in our long wish list, which includes fire pits and a stage.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
I'm happy.
A shade structure over the stage, so we don't have to deal with these pop-ups and stuff. Hardscape furniture that doesn't get wrecked and drag around all over the place.
Yes.
That will just have cushions that we replace every so often.
Very nice.
So that's, like I said, we have a long wish list, so we'll see what actually happens because it's not our money, but we definitely are really, really excited.
I
to see
personally
what
am too. I
happens.
just think it's hard to say exactly how it's going to play out, but I believe that one way or the other, the downtown is just going to continue to grow and be fantastic for all kinds of reasons, but especially for live music.
Absolutely for live music.
I have to tell a quick story here.
Okay. So Kevin in Rob's corner.
I know, right? Sorry, Kevin.
Kevin wanders in it.
Sorry, Kevin, it's not your corner anymore.
Not anymore.
Well, you're part of the story, though.
There's two dunces.
So we played at Blacksmith Square a couple of times in 2006, I think. And it was very informal, right? We just, actually, it was my wife, wandered into one of the businesses down there and said, these guys, would like to play out. And they booked us. The rose bed that had just been planted and the roses weren't really there. There was just, rose
sticks,
twigs, right? And so the first couple times we played there, we set up in the parking lot on the other side of the rose bed just to give more room on the brick surfaced courtyard for people to sit. And we've talked on this show a couple of times about band names and how hard it is to come up with one. But we talked seriously for a while about calling ourselves Behind the Roses.
Oh, Behind the Roses.
Because of that, right? So that's my story.
I had forgotten that.
That's cute.
See, aren't you glad I wandered into your corner?
I'm glad you wandered into my corner.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So I got one more part of my segment that I'm going to do. I'm going to try this out. So again, thank you for being here.
He's making me scared.
This is going to be this is going to be a 1 minute, and I got a timer, lightning round.
Oh no. Okay. Oof, okay.
And just
You're not very competitive.
Answer or whatever. No, you're not competing with anybody. If Rocco was here, you guys would be arm wrestling over the things. But we're going to take 1 minute, and I'm going to ask you some questions and just answer whatever comes into your mind.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Texting or talking?
Talking.
All right. Favorite day of the week?
Monday.
That's the wrong answer.
It's fine. That's my Saturday.
favorite U.S. city besides Livermore?
Boston.
Nickname your parents called you?
Speedy.
Speedy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Speedy Gonzalez. Yep.
Well, you have to get back into that when we're out of my corner. Last song you downloaded?
Ooh. I haven't downloaded any music in a while. I think it was... No. Oh, you know what? It was Shaky Graves' tune, Tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Very
good answer, yeah.
Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Talk to animals.
Yeah, me too. Favorite holiday?
Ooh, Christmas.
How long does it take for you to get ready?
Oh, not very long, about 15 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
A scale of 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
10.
Everybody should answer that.
Yeah.
Okay, fill in the blank. Taylor Swift is?
Okay.
Invisibility or super strength?
Super strength.
All right. And here we go. Last question. Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
No. I'm thinking what's in an animal cracker. I'm like, no.
All right.
Vegan, yes. There's butter in there.
We did the lightning round in.
And over a minute.
Over a minute.
My watch was buzzing my arm, but that's okay.
And you said we should come back to the Speedy thing. What you have it something?
No, it just sounds like a great story.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
My
dad called me Speedy Gonzalez because I was a little dancing zip around. I was kind of crazy.
I love that
little
You
kid.
do seem like you're an energy ball.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
that was
I
me.
believe it. So I want to follow up on a question that you were asking, but I hope that there's people out there who are in bands that listen to the show or watch the show. And so I would ask you, as someone who's been involved with booking bands for 10 years now, like what advice would you give to bands when they're trying to get into venues? What should they do and what should they not do?
Okay. I would say, I mean, I get it. You have to email to like get on the radar and stuff. It's hard, especially because we have kind of a stable of bands that one, we know, bring people out and stuff. So it's hard. And I do always try to like throw a couple new ones in the mix every year and give, like Lucas Sanchez finally got a gig this last year. He's playing Friday night, by the way. And
Lucas Sanchez is fantastic,
he's
by the way.
fantastic, by the way. So anyways, so it's tough because I want to give everybody a chance, but at the same time, I will say something to bands that, being gracious and polite will get you a lot further than, like the thank you, the follow up, the, if there's ever a chance, just being, when you show up, not being difficult. There's some moody musicians out there, and they get a little prima donna.
Yeah. What do you mean about that?
Yeah, right. Don't do that. Don't be a prima donna. I mean, come on. This is a little venue in Livermore, California. Let's not get crazy here, people.
Right. Yeah. You're not playing the Fillmore here. You're not playing
it's like, come
the Coliseum.
On already.
Yeah.
So we've had to deal with a little bit of that. It's a relationship. And I mean, I think that's the thing that you have to realize is, I'm a person and I get bombarded with musicians and I try, especially like I'll try to reach out to new bands that have not played when I have like a last minute, cancellation or, it's a beautiful day in February. Let's get a band out. I'll reach out to some of those folks and say, here's your chance, that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's really helpful, and I hope that there's some people out there who are looking for ways to get into the live music scene here a little more. That they need to hear that from people who are booking. They need to know, what are the things to do and not to do.
So one thing I'll say for like solo musicians, like somebody who's just got like a guitar and whatnot, like Wednesday night if it's nice, Thursday night if it's nice. We're not going to kick you out if you and I busk down at Blacksmith Square when there's not music
that's good
booked.
To know. Yeah, that's good for people to know.
Come on out. Like we would love to have you. And I mean, we've got Brian Skinner's been doing like a regular thing on Wednesday nights inside at Swirl, and starting in January, I think he's going to start turning that into more open mic type thing. So if you want to come down and play a song or sing with him or whatever, he'll back you up if he knows the song or figure it out. So, by
the way, that's a good segue to something else I wanted to talk about real quickly we focused on Blacksmith Square here, but Swirl on the Square by itself is a live music venue, as is Tap 25.
Yes.
And so I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we do, like I said, Brian's been playing on Wednesday nights. We're done through till January now because we've got the Shakespeare readings happening, the holiday readings at Swirl this next month. But on Friday nights and Saturday nights, both Tap 25 and Swirl have live music. Taps is from 7 to 10. Ours is from 8 to 10. Blacksmith Wine and Provisions is looking to start doing like a little acoustic spotlight potentially on Saturdays starting in January. So again, solo musicians out there, if you're looking for a little acoustic gig, like it's a teeny tiny little space, but definitely.
There's a lot of people who would love to just.
Yeah, and that's becoming very popular too.
Yep.
To have those small more acoustic bands,
something little,
people.
Exactly. And so our season basically works from May through October. All the music is outside and the booking is shared between Tap 25 and myself and Swirl. And so it's Friday night, the Saturday afternoon, the Saturday night, and the Sunday afternoon. And so that's that whole 6-month period. And then from November through May, actually June, it's June through October. November through May is everything's inside. If we have a great day, like we've had since the beginning of November, there's going to be bands outside on the patio if we can find someone last minute, because we tend to look at the weather, Tuesday, Wednesday, and make the decision if we can get a band out there.
Right. I have some relatives in Texas, by the way, who come out to visit us from time to time, and I make a point of taking them out to places like Blacksmith Square on November 20th when it's
Right.
beautiful, balmy, and tell them,
Right.
you know, the thing I really don't like about Livermore is we only get 250 days a year like this.
I know, right?
Anything to
Only.
make them jealous, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
Yeah, it is a struggle.
And by the way, you had some comedians at Swirl, is that right?
We
Yeah.
did. Yes, actually, the gal that was managing our kitchen at the time kind of put that together because she had a friend.
I think that's such a cool thing.
It was fun. It was, I don't know. It was received mixed reviews.
Yeah.
you know.
I mean,
I think it's tough. I mean, talk about it tough. And I think we have so much talented music and musicians out there. It's tough when with the comedy scene, like, man, it can be really good or really bad.
Yeah, I speak from personal experience when I say
Yeah.
it's a hard gig.
It's a really hard. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, because it's more personal, right? I mean,
Right.
your comedy is either going to
Right.
hit some people,
Right.
or not. To
Right.
be general enough to be
Right.
all inclusive of everybody at the venue,
Yeah.
is very hard.
And I think one of the big differences is if you're a band, you can say, okay, well, we're just going to play Sweet Home Alabama now.
Right.
And everybody go, yeah.
Right. I know, right?
But if you're a comedian, you're going to go, okay, I'm going to do the Lenny Bruce now.
Right.
And people are like,
Right.
well, I've heard that.
Yeah. There are a couple songs that I don't need to hear anymore.
Is that one of them?
That's probably one of them.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of bands don't even want to play that anymore. They're like, no.
A lot of bands have a never play list.
Yes, and
That-
they
Really?
should. It's a good thing.
That's
It's a
on.
good thing.
That's on it.
Yeah. Okay.
We have one more game to play. This
Okay.
one's easier.
Okay.
This is called Bad Joke Pass Around.
Oh, okay.
So
how fun.
I have the official Livermore Live Music hat
nice.
here.
There we go.
And I have
Bad jokes.
Bad jokes, right?
Okay.
And so we're just going to pass around and just grab one, and you can either tell the joke, or you can pass, or you can take another joke, or you can just tell a joke that you know. It's up
I'm
to
not
you.
telling you.
Okay.
I'll forget. These are cute. Okay.
And that one's yours to keep, by the way.
Oh, great. Okay. Oh, did you know that Beethoven hated chickens?
No.
Yes. All they say is bok, bok, bok.
Bada bing.
I don't blame him.
I mean, they call these bad jokes
They
for a
are bad
reason.
jokes.
Actually, some people call them dad jokes. Kevin
Dad
calls
jokes.
them Rob jokes.
There you go.
I do. That is a true fact. I'm going to take one from the middle.
There you go.
Because
the-
these are stuck
They're
together.
stuck
Did you
together,
just-
I know.
Just print them out?
Yeah.
I did,
fancy.
yes.
Okay. Small mountains aren't just funny. They're hilarious.
Hilarious.
All right.
Do I get to keep this?
You do. You get to keep
I
that.
love
And
it.
then
See?
one more. What did I get here?
That's great.
Oh, so a ham sandwich.
I know, right? That's the sound effect.
Yeah. A ham sandwich walks into a bar, and the bartender says, "Hey, we don't serve food here." See, that's what I'm used to is the blank stares and the
Man, leave it to Rob to pick the baddest of the bad joke pass arounds.
Right.
Good.
I like the Bach one.
I know the buck.
Yeah, because it's a music joke.
It is a music joke.
So, what else is on the horizon for you? We've talked a little bit about the expansion of Blacksmith Square, but Swirl, and you mentioned your plans. You're kind of looking over the horizon at
Right.
retirement. But what else? What else is out there that you're hoping or planning on doing? Anything?
I mean, I think the big stuff that's coming, that we're really excited about is this like open mic style type thing on the Wednesdays. I think that'll be really fun. Getting some music into wine, Blacksmith Wine and Provisions, having that available over there. I don't know. I'm looking forward to the day after this March election so that we can put this thing to rest for once,
Yeah.
please.
Just know what the plan is and get on with
be
it,
able
yeah.
to move forward,
Right.
because we've been promised, this downtown for a long time. So.
Right.
And we've earned it. We've worked really hard.
And I don't know about everybody in Livermore, but me, certainly, I'm so proud of our downtown and what it is now and what it can become.
Absolutely.
And we're all just holding our breath, hoping that the great things continue to happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to shift gears a little bit real quick. We're going to talk a little bit about tips and tricks for the website.
Okay.
So I wanted to mention, I have to pull my phone out and make sure I do this correctly. But for anybody who's out there that uses the website, if you didn't know this, I should have had this teed up ahead of time. When you call up a gig on the website, right? So you're looking at the gigs by date or gigs by venue or whatever, and you see a list of gigs. Those are all hotspots. You can touch any one of those gigs, and that will pull up more information about that gig. And in particular, if the band has a website, that will be highlighted in the pop-up, and you can
Nice.
touch that. and see the band's website. So if you're looking for music and you say, well, but I'm not sure who XYZ band is, you can quickly get to their website and find out what they're about and see if you want to go see them.
Speaking of,
Yeah, that's great.
are you done?
I was going to also mention, and the address of the venue is underlined, and you can touch that, and it will pull up a map of how to get there.
Nice.
So the little
Nice little feature.
That
Tips
is-
and tricks,
That
yeah.
is a tip and trick. I didn't know about
You
that.
know what,
I
that-
didn't know you could just
touch
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
But I was going to ask, you mentioned the Shakespeare readings. Where
Yes.
does one go to find out about that? Because they would
yes.
not be on Livermore Live.
They would
Music
not. No,
because
they
it's
won't
not
be.
Livermore Live
Right. So-
Shakespeare readings.
It's the first. It's the
Maybe it should be.
Thank you.
I
Thank
see
you.
a business opportunity.
No,
opening
that's
up.
great. It's the first 3 Wednesdays of the month. There's 2 performances each day, and it's a ticketed event, and you can get those at livermoreshakes.org.
Excellent.
livermoreshakes.org. You can get those tickets, and they are selling out, and they will sell out. So if you're thinking about it,
Do it now.
Think no more.
Don't wait.
Yes, exactly. And I will say I was telling Rob this when we were just chatting that, I use this site because when I'm booking a last minute gig, this saves me time because I can look and see who's not booked on a particular time.
day, right.
Who I know, who I can check out and be like, hey, let's get you down here, in the afternoon because we've got such a nice day. And it's also really nice. I have to say thank you because we get a lot of phone calls and we get like a couple people in particular. They want us to rattle off like all the live music in Livermore. And I'm like, oh, now I can tell them to go here.
yeah, right.
And
Here's
they can
the
find
URL,
it. Here's
right.
the answer. You do not need to call Swirl to find out who's playing at Myriad as well.
Well, back at you. And by the way, I'll mention, so we get emails from time to time. People email info@livermorelivemusic.com. And they're bands, and they're like, how do we get booked? How do we get
Right.
into Livermore? And what I tell them, and I hope as a venue, I hope this is okay, but what I tell them is go look at the website
Yes.
and sort of see who's playing where, find out what bands are sort of similar to you.
Okay.
And like find out what venues they're playing at. And then there's a whole other section to the website called contacts. And there's a contacts by venue thing that you can find really easily that will give you the email address if there is one and the contact page if there is one for the venue. And I tell them that's how you get in
Right.
touch with the venues.
Yep.
So I'm adding to your burden by directing
it's okay.
bands.
It's okay
Yeah.
because you never know. I mean,
The more the merrier, right?
Right. And there's times when you find someone brand new that like who knew that this amazing talent was out there.
Well, right, and you have to keep doing it. Well, you mentioned
Right.
Lucas Sanchez, but he's an
Right.
excellent example, right?
Right.
I mean, Lucas has been around for a while, and the musicians know him, but he's emerged as this mega player recently,
Right.
and that's because he found a few places to play,
Right.
and he's so good, and all of a sudden he's super popular.
I know now he's playing everywhere.
Right, and if
which is great.
everybody just crossed their arms and said, "No, I never heard of you before. You can't play here,"
Right.
then he wouldn't have the opportunity to shine like he does.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great.
Last word. Is there
Yes.
anything else that you wanted to talk about? Questions we should have asked you, or just people you wanted to mention? Things to get on the table. Real quickly, can we go around and just make sure we shout out to
Yes.
the other businesses at Blacksmith
Yes.
Square? So we've mentioned Blacksmith Square Wine and Provisions a couple times.
Yep, Wine and Provisions, Tap 25.
Right.
So that's the 25 rotating handles of craft beer.
Right.
Swirl, where you've got your wine and your tapas and other kinds of food.
Right.
And then there's the Vault, which is a little women's boutique for
Right.
cute gifts and stuff. And that's where the old Victorian
My wife loves
olive
it, by the
It's
way. Yeah.
really cute, reasonably priced, great
Yeah.
little boutique shop there.
Yeah,
So
it's just a wonderful area. Yeah.
that's
So
who's
we're
there now, and
know,
who knows who's going to be our neighbor.
Next
you
week,
know,
right, yeah.
we're excited.
Who's in where John Christopher was? Is
That's
that-
Blacksmith Wine and Provisions.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Yep.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah. And the focus of that, I guess that's something that I would want to promote is that it's all Livermore wines. It's a flight of 4 wines. It changes weekly. Friday nights, there's always a meet the winemaker or some staff members from that particular winery. And so it's a good place to like kind of kick off your Livermore wine tasting
So much
experience.
to do in that one little
I
square.
know.
Yeah,
One
well,
little square.
which was the original plan going back, and it's all sort of coming to pass as we talk. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Stephanie, thank you so much for taking the time
Yes,
to come
thank
down
you.
and talk
You are
with us.
welcome. It
We
was
really
really
enjoyed
fun.
it. Really informative. Thank you so much. John, Doug, again, as always, thank you guys so much here at Advanced Creative for having us and for making us look good and making us sound good. We really appreciate it. If you're not out listening to live music in Livermore, you should be. It's an incredible scene that's going on. There's so much of it. Check out livermorelivemusic.com. Come down and see a band sometime soon.
At
Thank you so much.
Blacksmith.
Great.
Yeah, at
Thank you.
Blacksmith or someplace else.
Yes.
Right? All right. Thank you so much.